Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another scene set in Edessa the Dark Crusade. But not within Edessa, nor within the neighboring domain of Timurin. Rather, a domain slightly more far-flung. The humble township of Bira, a known domain for Toreador. A town that lies along the profitable Silk Roads, but not one that has really flourished in the way the Edessa has. It stands as a shadow under Edessa's much more prominent walls. But the scene begins a few miles out from the township itself, within a military camp, with an army of over 1,000 men, even maybe approaching 2,000. An army formed and employed by Gerard of Tours, who's come here to negotiate with this domain's prince for the purposes of mutual benefit in coming conflict. And he sits there with another of his clan, a knight known only as Winfer. And that is where our scene shall begin. This campsite.
So, at the command tent, Gerard has been fitted with his armor and is, excuse me, currently waiting for his horse to be saddled. I assume Winther's as well. And he's sort of just sat in a chair looking at a map of the region. And he glances over to Winther and asks, "So what do you suppose the chances are that the man is amenable to our request for aid?"
Unlikely if his reputation is anything to go by. Kind of clears their throat quite a lot. It's something you've noticed as he's travelled to Winford. They clear their throat quite a lot for some reason. They actually also even take a more. It's quite noticeable with the armor. Actually, they breathe.
Well,
they show very.
If there's one thing traits. Yes. If there's one thing that we can that the Cainite can be counted upon, it's that greed will overcome common sense. I have a feeling we'll be able to get our way.
If we are to succeed, we must.
Gerard pushes himself to his feet, makes his way towards the flap, throws it open, and says, "Very well. Let's be on our way. I don't want to dally too long."
No. I'm sure this force is beginning to turn heads.
Well, worst comes to worst. We can send them rolling instead. And Gerard will mount his horse.
Mm-hmm.
I assume Winter will follow. They will ride towards the city. I do apologize to whoever may be watching, as Andrew's player or Gerard's player is overcoming illness. Frequent mutings might happen.
Horse is rightfully terrified of you, but you have a very high ride rating and are able to put yourself upon the fine steed without too much trouble due to your expertise, and win for as much the same. And yeah, you're able to ride off, presumably gather a small entourage to ride into the city with you, and you're on your way. It doesn't take you too long. You're only about 10 miles out. So if we're traveling at a decent pace, it probably take you less than an hour to reach the city. The city watch here is quite clearly on edge over the fact that there is an army just sitting outside, about 10 miles out. They do not let their eyes off you for more than a second. There's always someone following you around, usually in quite a large group. They're not exactly being subtle about it. And there's actually quite a large force of men gathered outside on the side of the city where your force is. They're actually setting up in preparation. They're assuming they're going to be attacked or something, because it seems like they're setting up for a potential defense. But no one really seems sure whether this is just a large group passing through or who under whose command, or there's a lot of confusion surrounding the whole situation. They're a little bit disorganized and a little bit afraid.
Okay. Well, whenever they come upon this larger group, I assume they're stopped. Or are they not? Did you mention that?
They would stop you because you seem to be coming from the camp in which they have a vested interest in.
Yeah. So Gerard will do his courtly best and present himself to whoever is quote unquote in charge.
They'll show you to the local city watch captain. It doesn't really go much further up the food chain than that. There is maybe one figure above them, but it's not the largest force. It's about maybe 500 men. It's probably no, that's untrue. They probably have around twice that number if you were to pull in their military of the city watch.
Right. Well, then the reason I say is because he would do his best to allay fear that the town will be imminently attacked. Present himself as the commander of the forces outside the city, so on and so forth.
They would ask what your business is in the area, as they have no knowledge of an army being here for any purpose, which is normally untrue. So yeah, they do ask why you're here.
Gerard will pointedly attempt to oh no, is recruit the right word?
Press gang?
Yeah. He is gathering forces in the wake of the plague in order to maintain order, so on and so forth. A whole lot of kind of go nowhere language and such intimidation if he needs to, in order to
Yeah, just
essentially
want to
say
make
that
a quick subterfuge check to kind of basically lie your way past the guard.
sure.
Actually, I'll set us up in a different dice roller.
Don't use that cursed nonsense from earlier.
Here you go. Dice roller 2.
So a minute sub.
Yeah, that's good enough. 3 successes is a full success. So yeah, you managed to allay the captain's fears that you're not here to ruin their day. You're merely here on official business. They kind of get the impression that you're really kind of you're an army here to recruit to restore order, i.e., you're a mercenary company going around looking to profit off of disease.
Right. Also, some personal business that is undisclosed. You know, I know people here. Maybe
they appreciate the honesty.
yes, 100% honest.
Hmm. But yeah, I mean, you're able to get past the heightened security in the wake of your force being around the area, and you do allay their fears somewhat. There's definitely still a heightened presence there, but barricades are taken down, sort of thing. They do lower their sort of alertness and redeploy some of them into actually looking after the city. And we'll send word back to the city's current ruler, which isn't really anyone important. It's too small. You know, however, where the where the prince, where you are to meet the prince, however. It's an estate, kind of on the other end of town, kind of on the far end. It's a bit unfortunate. It's on the opposite end of town.
Okay.
It's basically the only real noble's estate in town. It's where court is frequently held, and it's being held tonight because they know you are coming in advance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Gerard will ride across town.
Yeah, no one bothers you. But you look a bit out of place, just you just look more well suited for battle than anyone else in town, even the people meant to defend it. You look more affluent, wealthier, of higher standing, of higher blood, and of just generally more intimidating. Alongside Winfer, and you two are able to travel across the city with no issue. Doesn't take you too long again because the town's fairly small. And yeah, you make your way to this estate. It's a gated. It has a few acres of land to it. But as you kind of make your way across, there is a point at which it is gated and has heavy metal fencing, with which end with little spikes to try and dissuade people from climbing, from entry. Of which there is a there is a man just standing watch at the entrance. They're quite large gates. It really seems to be there's only two entrances, one back, one front. You can see on the other side people talking and discussing things, and you can only assume them to be Cainites.
Yeah, so Gerard will sort of ride up and stop his horse and look towards the individuals gathered. And say, I am expected. Gerard 2 of Doors, so on and so forth. Here's my list of titles.
The man just, his head bobbles and he gives us this very unsatisfied, just kind of very kind of rude. Yeah, he gives this kind of crude, unsatisfied, distasteful, like, as he bobbles his head and says, "Oh, all right, got enough entry in this fucking town." Just opens the gate, just kind of just unlocks it from the inside, just opens it. "Go on in, Your Majesty."
Why, thank you. And Gerard does, without sparing another thought for the rude peasant.
Winfer goes to enter too, but he kind of swings his rather large halberd and says, "Ah, ah, ah." Who's this one? The helmed Winfer just kind of looks down on this. Yeah, very rude.
Gerard is going to wheel his horse around and sort of return and then look down at this individual and say, "Are your eyes non-functional? The man arrived with me. He is part of my entourage. He will be accompanying me into the meeting. He is Winther of Clan Venture."
There is like this sort of small standoffish moment where he just looks directly at you and still has it held up to Winfer and just slowly brings it down. Very slowly. Up along then. Go on. He just says to Winfer, as if to hurry her along as he's shooing. Yeah.
Gerard will.
Shooing him along.
Yeah, Gerard will turn and continue. No time for this nonsense. But I'm not here to start a fight yet. Although he will mentally mark this individual as somebody he might like to
removed from the
stake
face
for
of
the sun
tunnel.
later if things go a certain way.
Winther quickly catches up to you and on his horse just says, "What a rat."
Pay it no mind. We're here for a mission. Sorry. And
No
Gerard will continue on to the manor.
Yep, there is some activity outside. There are a couple of you can only presume to be Cainite standing outside, but they don't seem to pay you too mind. In fact, unlike the rather crude man at the entrance, they seem to show you some degree of respect. They stand aside for you, of course, obviously, because you're on horseback, and they don't really pay too much mind, other than giving you a standard form of etiquette, seeming to have some understanding of who you are. The rather crude man, however, just walks in with you after he locks up the door again. He doesn't really, he doesn't stalk you or anything, but he does end up walking up behind you in a rather casual fashion. As you make your way up to the manor, obviously there are servants to take your horses and put them in a in a safe, sheltered stables place, so that they don't just
Stable places are important.
stable places. Yeah. And I will have them make a quick check to see if they cause the horses to unwild. Okay, you have 3 successes. So the horses, despite being very scared of you, and you getting off the horse now kind of gives it a lot more freedom to get the hell out of there. They managed to control it and rein it in. It is fairly loud. They do make a lot of noise, both out of fear and out of relief, seemingly, that you are no longer on their person. But they just take the horses away. Stables in view. No shenanigans here. They're just literally just taking them away to be housed safely. But yeah, you're able to enter the manor. One of the servants opens the door for you, and it is fairly nice looking. You're in kind of a an open, like a very large, how to say, foyer. That's it. That's a foyer. 2 stairs, basically a fine red velvet carpeting that runs all the way up the stairs. House is comprised of 3 floors. First, of course, you're in the foyer, and immediately in front of you are 2 large doors that open up. You wouldn't know yet. There are 2 stairs on either side. They head up to the first floor. You don't see the stairs to the second floor from where you're standing. But there is 1 door on the left side of the first floor, and doors in the middle. There is no door on the right side of the first floor. But the servants offer to. Well, you don't have anything other than you're wearing armor. You're wearing armor, so yeah, they don't really offer to take anything from you. They do ask if there is anything you would need from them.
Gerard just holds up a gauntlet as if to say no.
Right, sir. Most then, sir. Right this way. I believe His Majesty is expecting you.
Excellent.
And they the 2 middle-aged men who just fairly well, the servants. They're not in rags or anything. They're presentable. Guide you on over to the large doors on the ground floor, which leads to the main hall, which seems to be where the bulk of activity is taking place. You see about just over a dozen Cainites. And with the other two you saw outside, you could see, you expect there's about 15, 16 Cainites probably on the premises, just from what you've seen so far. Maybe there's more you haven't seen yet, but that's kind of what you can put together. There's not a ton of people here. You can literally individually count them. Of which you spot these individuals. You spot this man who looks very much unlike the rather crude gentleman who enters behind you and just kind of makes himself comfortable as you enter. Sits away from everyone else. This man, however, on the overlay, is again, yeah, he looks like he's of the working class as well, shall we say, the common class. But he's sitting with this rather unsettling gentleman who's about as aged as he is ugly, but stands up very sits up very straight. They're at a table, a small round table. He looks very formal as compared to everybody else. Very, very, and he wears probably actually quite fine clothing. It's actually colored. Probably the only man other than this woman who is wearing any semblance of what would be considered, the fineries of the affluent. He's short on jewelry. He doesn't wear any jewelry at all. It's just the clothing itself, and it is quite. It's not very. Let's see. It's not something that necessarily catches the eye, despite its. Despite the fact that it's obviously meant for someone of a certain standing. It meshes quite well with the background. But not in such a way as to imply like this man who meshes in just because he looks rather uninteresting and his clothing is just very, very drab. He looks more official, like he's there on business. You don't want to bother him, sort of thing. He's actually sitting with the man in common clothing and this woman, who is much more gauche. Has these lovely little earrings on, has this fine braided blonde hair that runs down the right side of her face. It bundled as it is in the overlay, very Rapunzel-esque. Has rather bright green eyes and actually quite bright skin. She looks quite healthy. She's drinking from a fine cup of blood, to put it frankly, with the rest of the group. There's also an individual standing, kind of resting on the back of a chair, and he's just kind of talking to them fairly casually. And it's this gentleman who appears to be more far traveled. His hair is quite swept. His clothing is fairly thick and padded. He has these kind of high leather boots, as if he's been out all day, and he just seems to be just having a friendly chat with everybody else. But you're not announced. There is already no proclamation of your arrival. There is You don't see the man described to you as the prince anywhere, at least not yet. Um, it just seems to be a fairly quiet court night. There seems to be more sound coming from the servants than there is from the Cainites here. It's not that many. Enough so that there's enough talking so that you can't make out each individual conversation, but there's not that many. Um, the only person who seems to notice your arrival is this woman, who seems to kind of is just talking and then sees you, then does a double take, and very very noticeably looks you up and down before walking to approach you in this very fine gold noble's dress.
Gerard will,
Sure.
do the etiquette thing.
Yeah, she curtsies very gracefully before you.
Gerard gives a bow. Mademoiselle?
I'm trying to. Nope, sorry, my bad. I completely froze. Yeah, no, she curtsies and says, "Sire, it is a pleasure to finally meet you. I am Camille of Clan Ventru."
Gerard, second of my name, of Tours, of Clan Venture as well. I should say, the pleasure is mine.
You are too kind. Yes, I have. Your
Clearly.
reputation precedes you. You are you're a man of great significance within to the clan within this area.
You wouldn't think so, he says, looking around.
Her hips kind of settle a little bit. Her eyes kind of gauge the room. She kind of seems to share your sort of dissatisfaction. Her smile kind of slips a little bit. She looks. It's her mouth becomes a little bit lopsided, but very flat. She sways and just simply says, "Yes." The
No fault of
princess.
your own, I'm certain.
No. If you are to put it, well, to share a secret between us, I believe the prince has been showing much less anticipation for your arrival, I think.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
She says that uh, between the two of us, that she believes that the prince has been showing far less anticipation and excitement for your arrival. She says with a very flat and dissatisfied face.
More so every day as events unfold, I would think.
Hmm. Unfortunately,
If the rest of the town is to be taken at a glance, he says, in regards to the massing of what little soldiery the town has.
Hmm. He seems a little bit amused. He has a tendency to be a little bit standoffish.
That's my favorite sort. It makes negotiations, well, simple, if not easy.
Oh. Come find us after you're done. Come find me after you're finished. I'd love to introduce you.
Well, we shall see how things go first. But certainly, I will look forward to further discussions. Perhaps you could As we wait, he says, clearly irked that the prince is not actually here yet. Gesture around. Introduce me.
I'd absolutely love to. And she, wow, that sounded really, really tense. She said I'd be delighted in a much more casual way than I actually described it, or in the way I expressed
Easy,
it.
Chris. Don't give it away too early.
I want to kill you. No. She seems fairly at ease, although still having a degree of, the venture class, the dignity, the grace. She'll walk on over to the table.
Gerard will follow.
Stop at the table. Everyone seems to have noticed you talking to this lady at this point. The obvious the Nosferatu, clearly a Nosferatu. He stands. The guy already standing on a chair doesn't really seem to move too much. He's just kind of content. He actually, throughout part of this, is, occasionally he just kind of points to you and Camille, and it just seems to have an look on his face as he looks to everybody else and seems to engage in very light, playful banter that the Nosferatu seems fairly uninterested in, but seems to engage with him regardless. Yeah.
The worst kind of sidekick for a stoic individual.
The common man, who is not particularly clean shaven, also stands up for you. And Camille simply says, "Gentlemen, may I introduce you to my most stalwart and dignified clanmate, Lord Gerard of Tours of Edessa." You do the etiquette thing.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yes, the etiquette thing.
Nosferatu bows. Camille seems to leave them to introduce themselves, and there's some sort of unwritten agreement between them. And Nosferatu, after everyone's bow, says, "Ah, yes. But since your other has been spoken of, Camille has had much good to say about you. I am Broker. I'm sure you can guess which clan." Local neonate. I would not proclaim to be someone of such standing as yourself.
I admire your forthrightness.
Thank you. The common man takes a step forward as if to interject slightly. And Nosferatu, Broker, simply turns to him. Ah. Good night to you, sir. They simply call me Adam. I'm a neonate clantremere around here. He does bow, but he's obviously less well versed in the notion of courtly behavior than Broker is.
Gerard just sort of like does one of those like grips on his shoulder with a gauntlet and maybe kind of like wiggles him a little more than is necessary, but says, "Oh, and you have much to learn, friend."
Well,
but it is not to me to teach you manners. I have heard that. Well, he looks between the two, almost conspiratorially, like you haven't had the best example.
he seems to smile at the remark a little bit, and simply says, "Yeah, my apologies, sir. Something something we're all a little bit sadly aware of here."
Well, if nothing else, perhaps I shall set a shining example for how court is to be run.
Oh,
He looks over at Broker. Dare I ask what it is that you deal in, sir? Or is that obvious as well?
well, all Nosferatu trade in information, but also have a penchant for acquiring, shall we say, less than happened upon items of repute.
Oh. Well, perhaps we might discuss it further in, I don't know, maybe never. Gerard seems like he was about to have an idea, and then as quickly as it came, just sort of dismissed it as if the last thing he would ever really want to do is go anywhere with a Nosferatu.
Fair. Yeah, gross.
And then Gerard will look at the other fellow.
Yeah, he hasn't really stood for you at all. He really hasn't seemed to care at all. Um, and I'm just going to double check who he is. Because I had all this up, then it disappeared. I don't like that. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Hey there, friend. And her clan Bruja. Answer like your Frankie Mill over there. Man, you took a real force with you to Bira, huh? One think you're about to wage war.
God willing, that's not the case.
Yeah, you're telling me. That's not going to be out on the front lines if you decide to.
Quite so.
That was a trip.
Excuse me.
That was a trip. Where the local watch gave you a bit of a rundown. Not usually on edge. Tend to be shall we say, very enthusiastic with their swords. Not usually this disciplined, though.
Well, the thing about small places like this is that a strong front may buy you time, but in the end, they're only as strong as the number of bodies they can put in front of me. I don't
Yeah,
count
right.
myself impressed as of yet.
I certainly wouldn't be.
And from where do you
Could have a real
hail?
force if the money went anywhere useful. Instead, it goes into fancy carpets.
You don't say.
Hmm.
From Edessa.
Oh, pardon, what did you say?
From Edessa.
Some of them. There was real luck and karma back over there. But starting rug business.
Yes. Something like that.
You do the strangest things sometimes. All the time
Hmm.
in the world to do whatever you want, and you decide to sell carpets. Oh,
But I've noticed you haven't answered my question.
hmm?
From where do you hail, sir?
All the way back from Western Europe.
And more recently,
Yeah. Bira, but I travel around the domains.
been anywhere interesting?
He takes a moment to consider this. Yeah, not a town. Actually, not too far from Edessa. Just about, so 50, 60 miles out.
Is that so?
Hmm. This really old place. Looks like it was, oh, I couldn't tell you the people that once inhabited it what it was. Positively ancient, though. I know there are a few places like that around Odessa, but and this one, I caught a structure to it, borderline labyrinthine when I looked down.
Does it have a name?
Nah, it's just eastward of the city.
Hmm.
I'm
Perhaps
a
I.
explorer, guide, traveler. See, so I end up getting caught up in things like this. Quite a few valuables
Oh,
down there.
is that so?
Hmm. Looks like
Well,
it'd been hauled.
I'll tell you what.
Sorry.
A few individuals who might be interested in something like that.
Nope. If you're interested, I'm sure we can come to some sort of arrangement.
Possibly so. But seeing as how you travel, what's to say that you wouldn't leave tomorrow and I would have no idea where to find you?
That's true. Always come back here though. Dedicated haven and all.
Oh, I see. Sure to keep that in mind. And what was your name?
Anha is what they call me.
I'll be sure to send someone your way if they happen to eat of ancient catacombs around Edessa.
Well, thanks for the business.
Mhm.
May your own prove as successful, friend.
I have a feeling that my business will be quite brief indeed in Bira.
Good luck. He seems to say that with an eerie amount of sincerity.
Mm. As luck would have it, I feel rather lucky.
Yeah. Keep her off that guy over there, though.
Which one?
He just eyes up this man who appears to be drinking blood quite heavily, almost like a silly amount. Kind of like how an alcoholic would take, kind of how an alcoholic would drink alcohol. Just guzzle it down. Yes, it's the local sheriff.
Oh,
Bit of a bully boy, if you ask me.
what do you know about him?
Not too much. Like a prince came to the Crusades. Was wasn't he a knight broker? Not a knight. Just a rudimentary man at arms. Oh, right. Yeah. That's right. No, he's just fairly old. He's nothing really.
Does he have a name? Does he hail from a clan?
Right. Yeah, he's all of my kind, unfortunately. Gives a sort of bad reputation.
Oh, just him?
Most of us around here, truth be told, would rather be rid of him. But you won't find many of the gall or strength to take him down, I'm afraid. And the traditions, those other things that are important, right?
But of course.
Most of the kids around here, though, well, they're kids, neonates,
Right.
Someone like him might not be particularly old, but he's got a few years more under his belt than everyone else. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Got a lot of got the back end of Prince and got quite a lot of goals work from as well. Must be stretching his capacity to control them all, to be honest.
Or
Probably
not at
why
all, as the case may be.
Yeah. Shame, really. But it is how it is. It's not like it's that much different anywhere else, right? Just gotta
Yes, I'm certain it's very similar.
take it on the chin.
Words to live by, I'm sure.
Kind of looks away as he says that. Man, this prince is really taking a while.
It would seem so. Is he known to make guests wait?
No, usually he's a lot more forward. Usually with the sheriff and accompaniment, if you catch my drift. I must say, this is unusual and, well, if I dare say, a little uncouth for the prince to be doing. I wonder why. It's quite obvious, isn't it? Negotiations already started. I think he's just trying to screw you, get you in the wrong mindset. Get under your skin, right? That's how y'all play the game.
Yes. I suppose it is. Well, if you'll all excuse me, I wish to proceed with the negotiations. And he sort of bows to all of them, turns, and then back out the double doors.
All right. You head out. Someone's obviously like, anything you need, have a pleasant night, sir. Seemed obviously a bit confused that you're coming out only like 10 minutes after you're coming in, but hey.
Yes. Gerard is going to. You said that there was a staircase?
Yes.
Gerard's going to head up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Start poking around.
No. Servants will, try and stop you. I assume you do what you need to do. They're very much like, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. No, this area is off limits. For the householder only, I'm afraid. Sir.
Yes.
Too much. They'll bother and pester you. Do you do anything to get rid of them?
Sure. Go ahead and intimidate.
Oh, you're gonna try and scare them?
Just.
Okay. I mean, you are armed.
Yes.
Yep. Ooh. 3 successes. It's enough. You're armed. That's kind of enough to give them pause. So they'll
4 successes.
They'll
An implied threat.
Ah, yes. They kind of back off. So we'll have to get the girls to escort your premises, sir. This every weekly.
So Gerard's going to go up to the landing.
They can't just stand there awkwardly, not really knowing what to do. Getting you head on up to the landing. There's not really there's like the 2 doors in the center of the landing, and then this door on the left.
He'll check the 2 doors.
All right. They're locked.
The other one?
And that's also locked. Both of these doors are locked.
Well then. I suppose I have been thwarted by locked doors.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how that works.
Head down the stairs. Check the wings.
Yeah, so on the wing, there is a door on the left. It is probably. I'm gonna chance to see if it's locked. Because this one might not actually be locked. Okay, sick. It's not locked.
Gerard will swing it open.
Yeah, so it appears to be a corridor, kind of leads down to a dead end. There are a few other doors on each side. One door, no, two on the right, one on the left. Corridor doesn't go down that far. There is a door at the end, but you can there's glass on the door. You can see through it. It leads out to a balcony, very small balcony.
Very well. Gerard will check the other side of the main foyer.
The other side of the main foyer doesn't actually have a door. It's just a door on the
there's
left
only one
side
main.
of the foyer, on the up the stairs, and then on the left. There's no door on the right when you go up the stairs.
Well, after that cursory inspection, Gerard will head back to the main area. He will pull up a chair and wait.
As you do, did you check any of the other rooms in the left wing corridor? Just so.
No.
No. Okay. As you're about to exit the as you're about to enter the exit the left wing corridor, as you open, Camille's just kind of standing there in front. Says he's in there. Yeah, as she kind of motions to lock doors.
I'm sorry,
You're
what
not
did you
actually
say?
going to negotiate with him, are you?
I missed the first thing you said. Sorry.
You're not actually going to negotiate with him, are you?
Is just sort of taken aback by like turning around and basically having somebody be like right
Yeah,
there.
she's just standing right in front of you. Like straight up, you open the door, she's there.
Shouldn't.
Oh, pardon?
You think I shouldn't?
I think you brought an army.
Does not necessarily facilitate a lack of decorum. He says as he's standing in a invited to go look at.
She seems a little bit disappointed. Very well, if you must. He's gonna keep you waiting, though.
How long can I expect?
Good 2 hours, maybe even a night. Might try and facilitate you somewhere.
Gerard ponders this for a moment and says, I'll wait for the time being. If I have to come back, pleasant.
It will not be too...
It will not be pleasant.
Okay. And be prepared for unpleasantness. She'll simply curtsy fairly sharply and remove herself from your presence with a fairly blunt warning to you.
And as such, Gerard will make his way back into the common area and wait, stone-faced.
Camille continues chatting with her friends. But eventually, after about 3 hours worth of waiting, a man enters the room and simply says, Gerard, the prince will see you now, in a very just arrogant, careless, just entitled voice.
Gerard does
Very
not
snobbish.
acknowledge him, but merely stands and will... It is that this meeting is happening.
The man will guide you there. He seems to treat you with a lot. I mean, the way his facial expression seems to suggest a lack of respect. Ooh, and now we are to see the negotiating prowess of Odessa's venture. Fascinating.
Oh my goodness, it will be a show, I'm sure. I can't wait to impress you.
Oh, I doubt you could impress me.
Oh. Perhaps we best be on with it then, so as to not bore you, whoever you are.
I'm Joffrey, the prince's child.
Oh goodness. Offense, lest I dampen my chances.
Oh, don't worry, I'm sure you can catch up.
It does not seem a particularly difficult race, no.
He seems to only snort at what you're doing. As you make your way up, the sheriff joins you, armed and armored. And you'll simply give 3 loud knocks on the door. A door will be opened by a ghoul. He's clearly a servant, just some sniveling lapdog, completely irrelevant to the situation, other than for the purposes of opening doors, frankly. And introduced to this utterly flamboyant young man, dressed in the finest noble's clothing money can buy, with a red coat and white furs adorning it. and simply, with two open hands, gestures openly and then towards a seat on the other side of his table and says, "Please do take a seat, Lord Gerard. Apologies for the wait." Courtly business. He just with a dismissive gesture just says that. Like, you don't need empathy to see that. That's just, I mean, he's not even trying to just excuse it as if, like, yeah, flagrant bullshit. Almost tastelessly so.
Gerard moves and takes a seat and says, "Dreary work." It must be dreary work, that courtly business that you have.
So dull.
With those down there, I can't imagine.
I'm sure someone like yourself can imagine the predatory envy of the commoners, looking to put my head on a spike. I'm sure you have had similar encounters.
Everywhere, all the time.
Perfect, really. Anyway, shall we get down to business?
I suppose we shall, if it's quite convenient.
He merely sit down. So, what is it precisely that you want to offer me for my aid?
Gerard knits his fingers together and leans back in his chair and says, "Well, Clan Venture is nothing if not charitable, and we wish to be charitable with our allies. Bira is of at least a mild interest strategically to the clan. Therefore, we shall allow you to continue in your ways, much as things have been. And in exchange, should the time come, you show requisite obeisance to Clan Venture when we need." To me.
Just so I'm 100% clear, you're basically saying I won't screw with you as long as you do what I say.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to have this guy make self-control real quick. He is covered. He's poor. Well, he gets one success. He does not lose his mind. There is a small silence. And the prince blinks several times.
Gerard continues to stare holes into him.
Sure, let's go dismantle for premises. Yeah.
Well then.
The sheriff will put a heavy hand on you. Do you kind of just basically, do the I can show my own, I can show myself out kind of ordeal?
Gerard does one thing first. He says, "If I may beg your indulgence and allow me to rephrase my previous statement."
Oh, do go on. This should be most entertaining.
There are currently 2,000 men situated right outside of your city, ready to something to the ground. I would rather not direct it in this general vicinity, as the men here seem pleasant. And Clan Venture would rather not have the headache. Plenty of ways that we can prove to be further aid to your doorstep that, well, this court may not be. It is a offer of mutual assistance. But I'm not willing to offer much more than that based on what I've seen here.
Very well, I rephrase my command. Sheriff, do not escort him off the premises. Please apprehend him. We may need to roll initiative. But before we do, you do hear someone in your head. Who simply says, "You look like you could use a hand there, mate." Do you respond?
Am I able to respond?
You can respond with your thoughts. You can't respond telepathically, but he would be able to catch up on. If you're trying to direct like your thoughts to the voice in your head, you could. You would be able to like say, "Oh, he's not invading your mind." You'd be able to sense that more clearly. He's openly in your head, and he's not rummaging. You could feel if he was rummaging inside your head. He's just communicating with you.
Gerard's thoughts seem amused as to what he might do in order to assuage the situation. As if to say, well, go on, impress me.
Oh, I like you a lot. Yeah, now we're gonna roll initiative for. Let's see. We got the child of a prince. We got the prince. We got the sheriff, and then 4 more dudes. Oh, and Winfer. Winfer will be helping you at some point, maybe. All right. This is going to be so you just roll your initiative first. Do a count for your armor in that. You're wearing heavy armor, right? So that's -2 dice.
Mm-hmm.
-2 to your initiative because it takes away 2 from your dex. Okay, you got 12. So 12. Prince. He's going to probably get a +2 to severity. Okay, he's 13. This child will probably get +9. That's 12 like you. For a PC, so I'll just let you go first. And then Roker. After Princedom. Sheriff getting a -2 to his armor as well. So he would have Dex, the celerity. Nine. So he only gets +7. He rolls quite well and gets a 15. I want to get now we can read the stuff. She gets +7. He gets 16. Wow. Impressive. For the common man. We'll get. He's not wearing significant armor. He only gets -1. So he gets +9. 13. For the prince. He'll probably go before the prince. And we need to roll for Camille. He will get a 6. 13 as well. Everyone's getting 13, man. He will go. And we finally need to roll for Winfer, who is truly the best among us, apart from Gerard, because Gerard is here, so he's better. And he's going to roll 4, 7, -2. So Winfer, because of heavy armor, is only rolling +5. 12 before. Where are we going after? After Gerard, before Joffrey. And I believe that is where we all stand. Certainly escalated about as quickly as, well, really any of us expected.
Yes.
Well, so Adam will hold his action.
If we part 2 this here in about 20 minutes.
Oh, sorry, you'd like to end here?
I mean, pick it up here in a few minutes, but I have to do a favor.
Oh, yeah, that is absolutely no problem. So as everyone draws their swords and the ground floor begins to mobilize, we shall leave the scene here and reacquaint ourselves with it in a part 2. Thank you everyone for watching so far. Thank you, player, for playing, and we'll see you all next time in a bit.